Hey, good afternoon slash evening, everyone, with Carolina Weather Authority. I am meteorologist Joshua Nagelberg with the latest on two storms threatening Louisiana as well as the remainder of the western and central Gulf of Mexico. This is pretty stinking crazy. If uh, if I could be honest with you, and I'm a Louisianan, I'm a native from Louisiana, so I have never seen this in my lifetime. And Hurricane Andrew in 1992 got me going. I was kind of a youngster in middle school when that storm tore up parts of our community, and after it hit Florida, of course. Been studying hurricanes very religiously ever since. I think Hugo in '89 as well really got me interested. Those of you watching from the Carolinas know exactly what I'm talking about. All right, if you could, please subscribe to our YouTube channel for latest videos. We had a live stream. It's not even showing up on here, but those of you who were subscribed were able to see that and ask us questions this morning. So there's some perks to that. And please visit our homepage, carolinawxauthority.com. We have Facebook and Twitter linked up as well. But anyway, what's going on in the Gulf? We've got super warm waters, and that's why storms are poised to strengthen across this region. Now, that's just part of the story. It does not include wind shear or amounts of moisture in the atmosphere to support storms, but we are seeing a great spot for storms this time of year to strengthen pretty quickly under the right environment. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that with you guys. All right, first things first, we have Hurricane Marco getting ready to bear down on southeast Louisiana with the impacts expected overnight into tomorrow on the coastal sections of southeast Louisiana, including the New Orleans area to some extent, but mostly along the coast from Terrebonne Parish through Plaquemine and up to St. Bernard, and very close to the east side of the New Orleans metro area, including the barrier islands here as well. But some impacts could be felt all the way to Mississippi, Alabama, Mobile, Gulf Shores, and then all the way back across Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and all the way down to the Houston, Galveston area. So this storm has not been the easiest to track, if you guys know what I'm talking about. Let me show you the loop right now, and what we're seeing, this is tropicaltidbits.com, we're seeing a storm that's starting to get a lot of wind shear from the southwest side, and that's kind of drying out things on the western side of the storm and kind of elongating everything northward right into the Gulf of Mexico Gulf Coast, all the way through the Florida Panhandle and all the way over to the Tampa Bay region. So most of the business is on the north side of this storm and the northeast side as well. Once it comes by south and west, I don't want to say you're in the clear, but things are quieting down for you. And this wind shear is actually predicted to continue to increase. So I think Marco has peaked in intensity, which is the news you guys want to hear, at least for tonight and tomorrow. But maybe that's going to kind of be a catch-22 for us when it comes to Laura. So I'm going to get to that next storm in a little bit here. Our forecast track still shows some uncertainty. We could have landfall or we could have a storm that remains just off the coast. Either way, it's predicted to weaken by the time it gets up here tomorrow evening near the coastline of South Louisiana. So probably near Morgan City or Intracoastal City, or maybe all the way over to the Barataria Bay, perhaps even all the way to the Mississippi River Delta. But then the storm weakens, and that doesn't have really a whole lot to do with the actual fact that it's near the coast, because remember, this is just one giant swamp down here. It actually has more to do with wind shear and the fact that the storm's going to get sheared apart and be in a more hostile environment to stay intense. But a lot of folks hopefully are taking these hurricane warnings seriously and evacuating in these low-lying areas in southeast Louisiana. Tropical storm warnings farther west to near Lake Charles, as well as up around the New Orleans area, including Lake Maurepas and Lake Pontchartrain. Lake Borgne is under hurricane warning. The Wrigley's are under hurricane warning. The mouth of the Pearl River is under hurricane warning. Then we have a tropical storm warning over to the Mississippi-Alabama border. Tropical storm watch from Mobile Bay. Not a huge storm, but where it is, it's definitely got some strong hurricane force conditions right around its center. So an adjustment of a few miles could make a massive difference on the impact of the storm when it comes in tomorrow. Look at our hurricane models. Do show, I would say actually 2/3 of our models now keep it just off the coast. That's not to say you're not going to get hit hard, because remember I showed you everything north and east of the center. Well, guess where that's ending up going? But a few models do have landfall all the way up to close to New Orleans and Baton Rouge, but most of the models actually turn it back and parallel the Louisiana coast and then keep it down towards the Middle Texas coast before it kind of falls apart. So very interesting and very challenging forecast for us here. This is definitely not set in stone just yet. You can see the intensity forecast drops off after 24 hours from Category 1 back to tropical storm and maybe even depression. So this is not going to be the big news maker this week, but it is one that we should not take lightly, because Category 1 storms on vulnerable coastlines can do a ton of damage. The H-Wharf model does show this holding together. It's actually, this model kind of keeps things a little farther east and pulls it across the Breton Sound through the Chandeleur Islands, and with landfall in northern Plaquemine Parish as a weakening tropical storm, and then this thing's falling apart near Baton Rouge. The other models are farther south, so that's just one example. We're not going just off the H-Wharf. Trust me, it's not what we want to do here at Carolina Weather Authority. The other thing I'll show you is rainfall potential, 4 inches in this entire yellow area, including New Orleans, maybe Biloxi and near Mobile, and the Barrier Islands could pick up to 6 inches of rain. Baton Rouge, maybe 2 inches, and then western Louisiana, about 1 inch. And notice Texas doesn't see even 1 inch of rain, even if that storm is down here. It's just all the moisture is carried off to its east. So very interesting stuff. All right, so it's on to Laura right now. And this storm has definitely caught our eye since a couple of weeks ago, to be honest with y'all. Let me show you the radar from Gitmo here, Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, showing some banding features and what is a storm that looks like it's getting its act together despite its proximity to land, including mountains here in southern Cuba. So the fact that the storm is organizing over this small amount of window over water, because it left Haiti earlier today, is a sign that we're watching its organization. It's in a spot where it is still growing, and any chance it gets to get over water, especially warm water, it can do some damage. What I mean by that is it can strengthen. Hurricane recon hunters found the hurricane force winds in just a little burst here earlier, but from the Hurricane Center, I read their 5 o'clock discussion, said that this was likely kind of a mesoscale feature and not the general circulation of the storm. So they've actually found tropical storm force winds up to about 60 miles per hour, well to the northeast of the center. So that's going to batter the eastern part of Cuba. And then things are kind of light on the southwest side wind-wise at flight level. And you can see on the satellite, the center is actually about to make landfall here near Guantanamo Bay, and all the deep thunderstorm activity is now forming on the southwest side, actually getting ready to hit Jamaica. It's still coming down super hard, though, here on the southwest peninsula of Haiti, and these poor folks are going to have a lot of damage from flooding and some wind damage as well. But the circulation center is up here, and it's kind of exposed to the north and west, so some dry air still getting into the storm. But if you watch this area, it continues to grow. That's something that concerns us, especially as it stays out over water tonight. Once it gets back to the west of southern Cuba into this shelf area of very warm water. So here's our official track. We've got tropical storm warnings encompassing the entire Cuban nation. That is a massive area under a warning. Same goes for Haiti, the southeast Bahamas, and I don't know if this is the Cayman Islands, I believe. Grand Cayman, that is. And then tropical storm watches for dry Tortugas and the lower and middle keys of Florida. We do think a hurricane watch will be up here probably some point tomorrow evening for the Louisiana and maybe upper Texas coast. The reason why is this storm is going to likely intensify once it pulls away from land here late tomorrow night into Tuesday morning. And then Tuesday is the day that we really need to watch to see how this storm's going to behave, because I've got evidence it's likely going to strengthen, and perhaps quickly. This area is warm bathwater. Despite the fact that Marco's over it now, Marco's not a big enough storm to take all the energy away and zap it from what Laura's going to go over later. So I know we've seen in many cases storms that pool over cooled waters from previous storms do not get as strong, but you know what? I don't think that'll be the case here at all. So models are in pretty good agreement that southwest Louisiana is the spot that's likely to get hit. A few outliers still in upper Texas coast, even around Houston, and then back toward Barataria Bay and coming up through Baton Rouge. The pink model we've thrown in the trash can already, so don't even bother with it. Don't worry about it. Intensity forecasts all show strengthening over the next couple of days, especially once we get to Tuesday in the afternoon. That's when we think it could take off. And a few models going major hurricane status, and we could see a Cat 4, maybe even a Cat 5. I mean, that's a worst case scenario, but a model's not even going to forecast that accurately. We've seen that with storms like Michael. It was always underdone on Michael, underdone on Katrina, but it's in that spot where that could definitely happen. I wanted to show you the H-Wharf model, which is kind of extreme, but stays consistent. And we're thinking to ourselves at CWA, you know what? Maybe it's on to something, and maybe, just maybe, we can't ignore it. Yeah, maybe it's a little bit too high, but, I mean, watch what happens here. We've got a deepening storm tomorrow over this area of water in here. I mean, the center is still out over water, and the high winds are going to impact some of these islands that aren't too, I don't think they're even inhabited. And then maybe a temporary weakening, and then here we go tomorrow night. Some strengthening will likely begin, and Tuesday morning we've got falling pressures. The wind should start catching up to it, and we think by Tuesday afternoon and evening we likely have a hurricane. This is actually a rapid intensification. A drop of 30 millibars in less than 24 hours is what we're expecting from this storm. The National Hurricane Center has a Category 2 storm now, but it continues to kind of take those numbers up. I wouldn't be shocked if it went with a Category 3 at landfall, and we think it's more likely the air too low than too high. The HWRF continues to track the storm towards southwest Louisiana or southeast Texas. At this point, it's got a Category 4 hurricane late Wednesday afternoon, so 3 days from now, and then Category 5 storm as it hits Texas, which could be a little bit too strong, but you guys get the picture that this thing is going to strengthen quickly. And the last thing I'll show you is the rainfall forecast, and some of this is from Marco, but this is Laura. We've got a giant area of 6 to 10 inch potential rainfall along the Sabine River Basin, right up through western Louisiana. Even into western Arkansas, this could be a flood problem. Southeast Louisiana and southern Mississippi and Alabama could have flooding. And this will probably change if the storm track is farther west. You can take this area a little farther west. Or if that storm track is farther east, then we get into places like Lafayette, Alexandria, Shreveport with flooding. All right, so a lot on the map for you guys. We're not even going to talk about anything beyond these two storms, but there will be potentially more storms in our not too distant future. Okay, everyone, have a safe Sunday, and thanks for joining us. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, invite your friends, and stay posted. We'll have more for you coming up soon. Be safe, and God bless.